TIFU by accidentally kidnapping a child. So this happened last week when I was babysitting my nephew for a few days while my sister was out of state for my brother-in-law's family emergency. So I'll call my nephew Adam and his friend as Max. My sister asked me to watch her son for a few days while her and her husband went out of state because his mother was hospitalized. She's fine now, guys. And I agreed because I love Adam. Adam is still in elementary, but me and him get along pretty well because we enjoy similar things. So I was looking forward to the week. This all started when I went to pick up Adam from school. They called his name over the intercom and he came out with his friend, Max. Conversation isn't exact. Me. Who's this? Quote. Adam. My friend Max. Mom usually lets him come over after school. Quote. Me. Hey Max. I'm Op. Max. Hello Mr. Op. Is it okay if I hang out today? Quote. Me. Sure, that's fine. Is your mother okay with it? Quote. Max went silent for a second but then answered. Max. Yeah, she's fine with it. I talked to her about it yesterday. So off we went. We got back to the house and Adam asked me if we could go get some ice cream. I love ice cream. So the boys dropped off their bags and I drove them to the store and I bought us all some ice cream. I decided we might as well get some snacks too while we're there. Adam and Max got excited and grabbed a bunch of snacks. So I paid and we left, stopping at a park on the way back to eat the ice cream. We got back home and Adam and Max played with Legos and I prepped dinner while watching a movie on TV. So a while goes by and I ask Max what time I need to get him home by. My fault, I asked him so late. It had completely slipped my mind. Me. Hey Max. What time's your mom expecting you home? Quote. Max didn't respond so I repeated the question. Max. Mr. Op. My mom doesn't actually know I came over today. When he said that, my heart dropped and my first thought was, did I hear that right? Quote. I asked him what he meant and he explained to me that his mom told him that he couldn't go over to Adam's house until he cleaned his room. It dawned on me that I basically just kidnapped a child. I immediately asked him for his mother's phone number, which he didn't know. Side note. Parents, please teach your children your phone number. I asked him for his address and he said, I live near the school. Yeah, thanks kid, that really helps. I check my phone only to realize that the outlet I had plugged it into didn't work and my phone was dead. I didn't know what to do and I was getting really worried that the police would knock on the door and arrest me. I calmed myself down. I plugged my phone into a working outlet. And I talked to Adam and Max. I told Max that it wasn't okay to lie and his mom was probably freaking out right now. I picked them up from school at 3 p.m. and it was 6 p.m. When my phone turned on, I saw that I had 6 missed calls from my sister and 3 from my brother-in-law. I called my sister back and explained frantically what had happened. She calmed me down and told me that Max's mom had called them and asked them if they had Max. And my sister answered no. Max's mom hung up to presumably call other people. And my sister tried to call me to ask if I had Max. When I didn't answer, she gave up and just wished her friend luck. My sister gets distracted and stops caring about things quickly. My sister called Max's mom and explained the situation. Max's mom came and picked up Max. I apologized for all the trouble I caused and she told me it was fine. That the problem was solved in the end. Me and Max's mom talked for a bit about what happened that day. And she managed to calm down finally. She told me that she was about to call 911 when she got the call from my sister, so it's a good thing Max came clean when he did. Me and Max's mom exchanged numbers in case this ever happens again, and we shared a laugh over the craziness of the situation. I'm really glad she was understanding and didn't call the police on me. So in the end it all worked out, I'd say. This is my first time telling an experience I had in this format, so if you have any questions over things I didn't explain well enough, feel free to ask. TLDR, my nephew had his friend come over after school. I was under the impression his mother knew. She didn't. And he hung out with us for just about 3 hours before the truth came out. Didn't have the police called on me, thankfully. Everyone is happy in the end. Except poor Max. He definitely got in a lot of trouble when he got home. Hey op, my policy when dealing with someone else's kid is to always ask their parents. Seek them out. Never trust a child. Meet the parent. Get their permission directly from them. So the next time you're babysitting and little nephew wants his buddies over, go find their parents. Tell them what's up. More AFU from the little asshole kid. Good read 8.5, 10 would read again. This is why kids need collars, dog tags with info to reach their parents when accidentally kidnapped. Obviously real kidnappers don't care. My mom made us sit down and memorize our address and phone number as soon as we could speak in sentences. I did the same with mine, as well as making sure they could say where mommy and daddy both work. We also have plans for each of them, now 7 and 10, on what do if there is ever an emergency and the grown-up in charge is incapacitated. They know 3 safe neighbors to ask for help. How to get Alexa to call 911, and that there is a 7-Eleven down the street that never closes if they are desperate for help. Sue, is Max's mom a single mom? 'Cause you've got her phone number and a meet cute. When I was a substitute teacher, I had a few teachers who would regularly use me as their preferred sub, since I knew them personally. So I saw the same couple of classes frequently, and they got to know me relatively well, compared to the random subs you'd see that you'd never seen before. Which I remember from being a kid. There was this one kid named Felix. Felix was a sweetheart, but I am pretty sure Felix had undiagnosed ADD or something. He was smart, or at the very least average, but he basically wouldn't do anything on task unless someone stayed near him and kept him focused on the task at hand. This was in 2nd or 3rd grade for him. So, kids are kind of like that. But while his classmates could at least focus on getting their work completed, if Felix didn't have someone keeping him focused, he'd end up crawling under the desks, or doodling, or playing with his shoes, etc. He wasn't rude or anything. If you asked him what he was doing, he'd blush and tell you whatever he was doing, and if you asked him to go work on his work, he'd go and do it for about 30 seconds, until some new distraction came along. Anyway, my point is that, ultimately, I actually liked Felix. He was just a nice kid. Some of his classmates were on their way to turning into little jerks from what you could see was negative influences from their parents, or from wherever. Though in a few cases I know that it was the parents due to my conversations with their regular teachers. And Felix didn't have a great home life. But despite that, he was just a nice, generally agreeable kid who couldn't focus on anything for long. One day, I sub for his class, and the day ends. I stand there by the door watching all the kids get picked up. And once the room is finally empty, I walk around stacking all the chairs on the desks, tidying up, picking up trash and little pieces of junk the kids had left around, and putting away anything that got left out. It took maybe 45 minutes. After that, I go to work on my notes for the teacher. mostly going over how everyone behaved and what work I didn't get to. I'm sitting there writing in a dim classroom with the lights off. It was like 4 p.m. though, so there was plenty of light coming in through the windows. And I hear this faint, tee-hee-hee. It was some horror movie shit. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and for a few minutes I was convinced that a little ghost demon child was haunting the room and was about to come bite my Achilles tendons. I look up from the desk. Look around. Hello? Quote. Tee-hee-hee-hee. What the fuck is this? I stand up. Cautiously. Hello? Is someone in here? Quote. Tee-hee-hee-hee. I start walking around the room. And go and peek under some desks in the general direction of the giggling. Thank God. It's not a demon ghost child. It's fucking Felix. Hiding under the desks. Scaring the shit out of me. As soon as I see him. He says, "Ah, you found me." Quote. Felix. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be home. Didn't your mom pick you up? Quote. No. She didn't come today. Are you sure she didn't come? And you didn't just miss her because you were hiding in here? Quote. I waited. But she didn't come. So I came back inside. And hid under the desks? Quote. He nods. Okay. Let's get you to the front office so we can have your mom come get you. Okay, buddy? Quote. Okay. Quote. So I finished writing my notes and took him up to the front office, who told me I could leave him there with them and that they'd keep an eye on him until his mom showed up. Apparently, his mom didn't show up semi-frequently, though nobody had actually mentioned that to me beforehand. And that's the story of how I almost locked a 7-year-old in a classroom overnight. Kids like that are wild. When I was a kid, there were Maxes in my neighborhood too. They'd just invite themselves over, apropos of nothing, and not feel the need to tell any family members where they were going. Used to legitimately have to break out the yellow pages and quiz them on their parents' names until you found the right number. And the parents, for whatever reason, did not seem to mind that this was happening regularly. Glad Max's mom actually cared. Unlike the feral children we used to have in my small town. That's good that it all worked out. I'm only 23, but growing up when I was younger, kids didn't have cell phones. So I still remember my mom and dad's phone number. They are still the only number I have memorized. Probably because my mom was thinking of this scenario. This is why when I have kids I'll get them a bracelet with my number engraved on it. The parents should also put a formal complaint in with the school. They should never have let you leave the school with the other child. Everything worked out fine with this kid. But what about the next one? Never trust kids or anything that comes out of their mouths. They lie more than most parents admit to. Source. Parent of a 4-year-old. That's not an "I fucked up" at all. You got played by a kid because you lack experience. That kind of shit happens. I think my phone is messed up, or Reddit mods are pulling some shady shit. I didn't get to read about the part where Op rails Max's mom. This is why I always have my phone charged. I never assume when it comes to kids. If the parent hasn't already texted me prior to leaving the school, then they stay. As often as my 2-year-old lies to me about little stuff, I am certain a kiddo in primary school lies 100 times more often. Hope you and everyone looks at this and sees that you can't trust a kid with something this important. I feel bad for Op, but also feel bad for Max's mom and for Op's sister. He's in. I'm one of these feral kids. I once stayed at other kids' housed for a month. I'd sofa surf etc. as much as I could. Mom and Dad couldn't give a shit as long as I wasn't eating their food. Glad you was responsible. Wish someone had called child services for me when I was a kid. Instead of the shit parents I had lol. Max went silent for a second but then answered. This was the moment I knew. I'm guessing this will be the moment you know. Too. In the future. Props to Max's mom, though, for raising her kid well. He knew it was wrong to lie and felt at least a teensy bit bad about it. Hence the 1-second hesitation. My daughter once told the bus driver her 6 years old and her brothers 5 years olds were supposed to go home and not to their grandmother's. I had no idea where they were. So I was freaking out and crying at work. Bus driver finally makes it back from his route and says, "Oh yeah. They're at home. Where your daughter said to be dropped off." Made it home to find a zoo. Bean bags in the kitchen. Bowls of ice cream randomly scattered about. And totally chill children. Meanwhile I'm still in tears. They said they had a wonderful time home alone. Woman facepalming.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.